Alright. Back with more Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. I think we're gonna be finishing the game for real this time. I think we're in the final bits of it, so let's just go ahead and get started, get it over with, get through it, finish this up. Oh, day 3 investigation, I guess. Oh, right. We talked to her last. Oh, okay. I'm like, I should remember. Happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was all alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting through the office. Joe Dark. Seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? Prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence, and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have ever happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known, Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must have not been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that the crime occurred? Dark knocked Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in your arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. That's understandable. Since it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I wanted to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. There's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Then why would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course, this happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices in the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective. I better have another talk with her. Alright. The Detention Center first, then. Lana. Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person may be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risk. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago. Now, the SL-9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about the unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. I guess we do. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. That trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana, what the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why don't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Him and Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. And now you're a chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL-9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer at the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command. That means the investigation led was David Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I share the same office, the same investigations. We even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gann and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gann and Marshall let their guards down. Then he fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gann and myself. That's where he found me. And you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana. It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gann and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and laid unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her, after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL-9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gann and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL-9 murder. I guess so. Okay. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. Now you must prove in court today on on the day of that crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. Instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I gotta find all the answers by tomorrow. Police department? Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. Never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera, sera. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? Shoulda known my luck when I run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Oh, say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, and we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. What? Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars of the SL-9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was what? He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made a detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me? What are you looking at me like that for? It's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL-9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years have already gone by. Try to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Biambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. The investigation led Damon Gant and his second-in-command to Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant and the new chief of police arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentioned it, I must have said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina. Her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Not a secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get the guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after the day. Too bad I won't be around to work with you. When you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Huh. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the coffins room. Thanks. Wow, he's actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and decision about what to do. About Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media and tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can go on there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to Chief's office. Wow. What is the purpose? Does he use that? I highly doubt it. Whoa, where am I? Chief's office, silly. At least, that's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. Used to call me Little Miss Batch. I thought I was a genius until he tried teaching me. I never could remember who C was. Hmm? He's like just standing over there. Off to the side. Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. So, Righto, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement. Oh, you mean about the forged evidence. 2 years has passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana Neal me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with the picture here. Can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh. But this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long been since over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. At the same time, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcomed. Seems that case isn't over yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us to look around there. Maybe like a clue. There's gotta be a way we can get inside of the chief's office. Should we just check out what's going on in here again? Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe, are you supposed to be in a meeting? I am just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, I'm serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Edgeworth? Edgeworth, no. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. Sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. Falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. But why would Mr. Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye is the guilty party here, isn't it? Isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that. But as you know, there's a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with the talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. We'll go out for lunch again sometime, my treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yeah, sure. It seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure. I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. Seems jolly concerned for Mr. Edgeworth. Well, did you find anything? The only evidence Stark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall who was trying to protect some girl? Me. Chief Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Oh, was it? Let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. Businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So it was an accident. An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. A kid walked by then too, so he killed him too. Why is it skipping? A jogger came up to the scene and was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. What? He just made that whole situation way worse. Seems he was a pretty careless criminal. Of course, this is all conjecture. There isn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness. A.K.A. Emma. Oops. Oh. Okay. That knife or whatever it is really stands out. Incident number SL-9 closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark. Crime, serial murder. Sentence death. Victims Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall, Rachel Voss, Jason Knight. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Damon Gant, Lana Skye. Bruce Gimman. Wait, did I read this already? Jake Marshall. Just I guess I did read this. I thought he gave me something new. Well, the murder weapon. About this. Hey, is that... It has a tag attached to it with the label SL-9 incident on it. Written on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife has been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. And was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it. Now I remember what that incredible piece of evidence was. Show me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what was it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. He traced it back to the store he bought it at. Plus, it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. You take a good look at the knife. You'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well anyway. Take a guess where the broken broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it, inside his own body. It's found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet. Down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money, if it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The chief's out now and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? If I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. Data was deleted the day he died. Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. Do I have anything right now? Maybe the photo? Let me share a little advice with you as a detective. If you don't have a clue, keep your trap shut. I'll keep that in mind. Sheesh. Maybe we could talk to Edgeworth or something. Maybe he can go with something. Cause I feel like he's the only person who would probably convince him. I wonder if Edgeworth's back yet. There he is. He looks like he's writing something. What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I could do can erase that fact. But you didn't know. But you didn't know, did you? I mean that the evidence was falsified. Jesus. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. That bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. Police department's error is my error, my responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuse I might have. Mr. Edgeworth, take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial and now this one. Seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. Never thought that the case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as the most lists? That's odd. Neil Marshall was murdered. I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. A picture. Something seems strange about it. Maybe we could show? Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You're participating in the ceremony over at the station, right? Never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this. Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends. Like, what? Clerical stuff. My brain shut down. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes, it was a piece of evidence in the case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to. That's right. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutor's Trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. The story behind its design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? Wait, how does it look different? Oh, it's missing the sword. Yeah, it's just the shield. It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written in 2 characters. The first one means halberd, yes, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake? Very well. Ooh, cool. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day, he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd. He claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other! Why are they playing the music? Very perceptive, but then again, you've heard the story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very description of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless, and thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's inherent nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. So if that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'd have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Also, this piece of paper. Thought I forgot. I wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth's sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out in the window? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what this girl is doing crawling around at my feet. You didn't even look! What? If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says, a letter of resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, right? I feel as if Something inside me has died. Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I walked. You don't need to tell me. The path I walked hasn't been just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done, and no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation. I wonder if I could use it for anything. Alright. This is what's gonna convince Gumshoe, I get. Can we ask anything about it? No. Oh. Something new. Okay. I was expecting this. Excuse me? Would either of you care for a quarter-pound roast of beef? Miss Star, guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL-9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. And this can't all be contributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene I happened to witness? Instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Star hatred toward Lana. Well, dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year, on the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though, must have been going through hell. I mean, because of his brother's death. They were close, those two. Danielle died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Skye. My sister. The best of the best were put on that SL-9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. I mean, the forging of evidence. Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly disappear while other items were kept secret. But you don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much of an explanation. Then Lana Skye transferred to prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a chief prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used. Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Gant led the investigation and Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism, in particular, was almost unreal. His magnetism. By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he had handled. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and always watched out for other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Sir Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Star. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Huh. Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL-9 case, his position as chief was secured. There's only one thing left for him to control. And then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? You mean, that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since the case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Star. You listen to me, Rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. Let's talk to Gumshoe. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copying files, turning into regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think it means desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistence, but my answers are still no. I'm not letting into the chief office, period. It'll be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL-9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's gotta be something we could do to make the detective change his mind. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious. Is he ever not serious? Can't believe they pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we just betrayed him. Detective? That's it. Made up my mind. But here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item. Look at me. There's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, detective. Thank you. Thank you, Gumshoe! Oh. Alright, let's go. Here goes, Mr. Wright. Oh, there's that statue. We're in. If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Eek! Gah! Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. Didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Ah, Detective Gumshoe. What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried if something might go wrong. So I came too. You're here. Then what's the point of giving us your ID card? Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable. Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. Hey, don't do that in my card. Hardly ever get a chance to come in here, so I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now, come on, let's see what we can find out. I had a bad feeling about this. He's definitely gonna come in here. Oh no, wait. Examine. I guess we'll start on this side. You can see pretty far from 15 stories up. Jesus. You need to drop that suit of armor down there. Oh, that was weird. At first, the chief wanted to use stained glass for the window. Really? Why didn't he? He said he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. Oh. Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, and now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean they're paying? We're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Shh. Be careful what you say. Who knows? Chief may be hiding in his armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. Oh, I was trying to click on this. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier. It's you two, Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. Oh, right. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence. In most cases, the list runs through twice as long as this, though. Hey, look at the case name. Huh? SL-9 incident. I wonder what this is doing in here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said I wonder what... No, about evidence list. Normally they're twice as long? That's right. Guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. Right. What would the other half of the list doing here? I know it. The chief must be hiding something about the case. It appears so. Uh-oh. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. You found this inside the drawer. A list of evidence from the SL-9 incident. Chatsworth had the other half of that list. What would this list be doing here? We better look at this a little more detail. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe? That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. Looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. We don't know the code, though. 7-digit number, I think. I might just know what it is. 7-digit. How many digits is the ID? Shoot. Wait, do I know it? Should we try? Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birthday, is it? It's... I have a better idea. It goes nothing. I can't believe that worked! Then we had to find something in this room. Bingo. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 77777777. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean the 77777, that ID number? I think you're 17 shy this time. It's gonna mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's ID number. Say anyone care to look inside? Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's The missing piece! Shard from a broken cup. Somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else in here too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? I don't think so. Oh well, it was just a thought. Is that it? This is all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. Piece of cloth with a handprint on it and a broken shard of glass. Broken shard of a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck that's on the line here. Great. Now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to this SL-9 incident? Come on, there's gotta be something we can show the detective. Oh my god. It's a part of this thing. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? I remember the three of us put that back together. Ah, those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that glass case? That's right, one of the shards had an SL-9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one that was in the safe? Yes, that one that was in the safe. Now you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Shows what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. We can piece this together again. We'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here it goes. Oh, wait. Like that, I think? X. Fit. There, it fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willing and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL-9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached. It's different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line. That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? Chief's work ensure is sight to behold. Occasionally, we hear him playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. It's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th floor of an entirely different building. And when a detective screws up, the chief calls them to his office. It makes them listen to an organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except for the ringing in their ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. But aren't the chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. It's besides the point. This mark looks like some kind of flower. Weird is, it's designed after the insignia on the prosecutor's badge. Prosecutor's badge? Yeah, like the one hanging from your collar? What? Yeah, badges too. The design's supposed to portray the severity of the punishment system. Now that you mention it, it does look all pointy and kind of painful. But Mr. Edgeworth never wears a badge. That's because he's a sharp dresser. A badge like that wouldn't go too well with his outfit. So sharp dressers don't need to wear badges? I guess everyone just kind of lets it slide. I don't see how that's supposed to signify severe punishment. Let's check this side. Another window? Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. This is the 15th floor. I know, just saying. Saying what? Ever since making detective, I always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. So long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired. Don't say that. These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame on the left shelf. Hey, this is when Lana and I went to that theme park. This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of the partnership. They were the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture. Then he went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? Okay. Maybe we have to present something with the... Gumshoe... Oh, he has things to talk about. Sorry. That desk on the other side of the room. Was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy on preserving the crime of the scene. It's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always stay alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the sign. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk. No one except Chief Gant, and the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still 2 years has passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Oh, we can spray. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around because it's one of the SL-9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? Someone tells you don't worry about it. It's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry? This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings yet. There you go, ignoring me again. I wanted... to take this out. Maybe there might be some bloodstains? Aha! Whoa, this area must have been covered in blood. Is this from that incident? It must be, when Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. 2 years has passed, so the reaction's kinda dull. So a murder really did take place here. Spray everything. Nothing else, really? Okay. So what was the other piece about it? cloth? Maybe we should present... Okay. Maybe we should present... what's it called? This, so we can look at the fingerprints. Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is. So you want me to take some fingerprints? It's a great idea, idea, detective. Alright, go to town, sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking your hand out like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I have to be told like a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Is it... Oh, I had to select a fingerprint. Wait, okay, I forgot. Let's try this one. That seems pretty clear. Oh. Spray it all good. And blow. Oh my god. It's literally a full fingerprint. There we go. Okay. I was gonna say Lana. Emma. Emma's hands on here? No. How can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints are they? Huh? Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. Thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst, hey you, over there. What's going on here? What are the kids' prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Well, was that any help? Of course. Next to your ID card, you're able to get some hard evidence. Oh shoot, here we go. We got cut. And that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Eek! Chief Gant. You didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. So I was walking to my meeting. I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run into a pole. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But sir... Now get out. Yes, sir. Oh, good. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait. You, the one with the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I like a word with you. Sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair. You're free to go. Mr. Wright. That's weird. Look, pal. If I told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? Thought you said you didn't care if anyone were anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant has hiding in his office, I'm definitely starting to get the picture. But why was she kept eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, are you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over the Chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions. She'll be busy for the rest of the day. See, so the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in the court. Committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I already told you all I can. What you told me over the past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single thing useful. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. Seems Edgeworth was right. Sir Edgeworth? So you were convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first, then insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No. I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, who may I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightened of. What's this person's name? Right there, buddy. Well, Miss Guy. Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of the inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of the investigation. Yes, but you also have, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. You want proof that Chief's wrongdoings? Here it is. That evidence proves someone is doing something wrong, alright. But it's not the chief. Who would that be? Why, you, of course. Me? Yes. You seriously believe what you're saying, don't you? Now that's scary. I seem to have the makings of a criminal in you. With all your fallacious accusations. Care to spend the night in the cell next to mine? It's me, you're the scary one. Oh, did I do that wrong? Oh, shoot. Maybe the evidence list. Because he was hiding that in his thing. I thought that was the right thing. my god. I guess the evidence list. I just found this in the safe in the chief's process. It wasn't in the safe. What? It was on his desk. Oh my god. This... Oh. Oh my god. This is confusing. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL-9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gan himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate in the murder of Detective Gunman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperative. Though I can't tell you the details. I can't say I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. Murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL-9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That knife would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that's the reason for the bandage on your right hand. Yes, it seems that I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then... she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? Oh. It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that, by whatever means possible. So you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in Joe Dark's case. Word got out, which it would. The reporters would have a field day with that. So you have the knife in your scarf and hid it. And Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right, then I called my sister. To tell her what happened and ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling. The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was to make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL-9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal evidence. He had already stolen the ID card. It seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the evidence to the... Oh god. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. Huh. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana... You've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. Got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. Oh, what a long investigation. It's been an hour and a half. Jeez Louise. At least I didn't get stuck. Thank God. It would take me probably twice as long if I got stuck. Here we go, final day.